everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. A great way to support the show is do what Jackson Fax is doing and go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. At the $25 tier, you can come on once a month and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Unless it gets really weird, then I might have to block you. If you want to come on and tell me you think the earth is flat, go for it. You're never going to change my mind. But that's not what we're going to talk about today, because I don't think Jackson is that insane. He's been on the show numerous times. He has his own show called Jackson Fax. Please welcome, I don't know, I'm saying it like there's a live audience. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Jackson Fax. I so miss live performing. I'm just hoping there's an audience applauding. But how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good.
So you wanted to discuss, like, basically we're all, obviously we're all in some type of quarantine, pandemic, whatever. It's affecting everybody one way or another. Some people have no work. Some people are, I was talking to my friend who's like a manager at a Trader Joe's, and he's working harder than ever, and people come up to him and he tries to help them and they're in tears. And it's like he's like, man, I used to just go work at my grocery store gig, and now it's like a very emotional thing. So I can't go on the road, and there's obviously a huge amount of uncertainty. What's this going to mean? What's this going to mean for the economy? What's this going to mean for everything? So you wanted to share with us some tips?
Yeah, with the UN report, a lot of the world's leading scientists, thousands of the world's leading scientists, all in agreement that we're going to start the beginning of irreversible human extinction in about 10 years or less. And then on top of that, you got the pandemic and others like it that I'm sure will be coming in the future. You've got a system that doesn't provide for the people, that sets us up for these exact type of failures that continue pushing the 90 to 99% of us deeper into despair and poverty and suffering. We got to take the power back into our own hands. So this kind of falls into the vein of the whole general strike that's kind of going around right now. I want to encourage people to take the power back. And there's some ways
I'm sorry to interrupt, but shouldn't everybody just go into their walk-in freezer and eat really expensive ice cream in their mansion? Isn't that the way? Isn't?
If we could only afford one of those Nancy Pelosi $30,000 freezers, huh?
Well, if you can't afford that, Jackson, just go into your wine cave and get a nice bottle of $400 wine and drink that in, one of your rooms that you never visit in your mansion. Like, I don't know why this is so negative.
Yeah. I have so many options. I can't decide during the apocalypse. My wine cave, don't want to hang out there. Don't want to hang out in my ice cream cellar. But yeah, the normal everyday person, it's just a slap in the face to see how those in power flaunt, like Nancy Pelosi, their access to these things.
And I want to give people, before you go, I want to give people a little, maybe if they haven't seen some of our previous interviews, you and I have talked about a lot of environmental issues, and we've even talked, if I'm not mistaken, about permaculture and all this other stuff, right? So give us, because I've actually, I'm seeing some of the positive things I am seeing through this are like the air quality in Los Angeles. I've talked about that a lot, which I can only imagine the air quality everywhere is better because just people are using less cars. Nobody's buying, oil. I saw this guy online who's like, how to make your own little garden in an inner city or urban environment, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. What do you have for us to all of us that don't have a ice cream bunker? How do we make it through this? And we obviously, the federal government does not give a damn about us.
Yeah, another important thing that people don't really know about is kind of swept under the rug by the mainstream media. In December of 2018, Homeland Security came out with a 96-page report saying the individual person, the public, need to prepare on their own at an individual level for the complete collapse of all utilities in the country. So they need to prepare for at least 6 months, likely more. This is what Homeland Security is telling us. I don't want this to be the case. I'm not trying to scare people. I just want them to know, with the government themselves kind of slyly saying, hey, we warned you, you need to be at least 6 months to be able to provide your own food, your own water, your own shelter, your own energy systems, cooling and heating. This is going to be insanely difficult, if not impossible, for most everyone. So there's some little things that we can do. I want people to be conscientious about that. And these things just may save your life. There's things like the Berkey water filter. You know, if the water systems go down or the grid collapses, then you're not going to have clean water. Not that our city water is that clean anyway. And I think even without there being imminent collapse of the whole societal structure, we probably should still be doing a lot of these things. So if I could share a image of the Berkey water filter, it is kind of hard to remember the name. I hope you can see it there. But that's what it looks like. So you'll recognize it once you see it. It's just a stainless steel. It's called a Berkey water filter, spelled like Berkeley, but without the L. Kind of a funny name, so it's difficult to remember. I want to show people the image here. But that's pretty much it. And what this does is you pour your water in the top. It has a couple ceramic filters. This is the best thing on the market that you will be able to find that actually filters out almost 100% of all the toxins, all that poisonous crap, stuff that other, commercial water filters won't filter out. The Berkey does. And for that reason, it's actually illegal in a lot of places where you have over regulations that aren't necessarily protecting the people. They're just over regulating so that they can control access to certain goods. Like in California, you're not even allowed to buy these filters. You can have the Berkey system, but you're technically not allowed to buy the filters because they filter out so many toxins. They don't want it thrown away and damaging the environment even more. So, which is interesting, right? If the water you're giving us, the city or the state in California is giving us, has so much toxins that we can't filter them out and then throw that filter away, then why are we allowing ourselves to ingest them? It just doesn't make sense. So what you can do is you can go over across state lines and, to Reno or something if you're in California, and you can get some of these filters. It's relatively cheap. It's a couple $100 depending on what size of a Berkey filter you want. But this is a great thing you can have in home. You can take with you if you want to go camping and you just have stream water and you want to filter out any kind of water you have access to. You can put it through this Berkey system, and it's phenomenal. It cleans the water. And so that's going to be huge. Water is obviously a staple. Things like, food, water, energy, these are going to be the things that people are going to really need to focus on. So a lot of the things I'm showing are just like fancy camping equipment. So for those of you who like camping and say, I could live off the land, no problem. I love the great outdoors. This is going to be like fancy camping for you when the shit hits the fan. But those of you who don't like camping, this is hopefully going to help mitigate some of your fears and stresses. How do I provide my family clean water when there's no running water?
But
there is.
Let's say I live in Flint, Michigan. I don't have to worry about contaminated water because Obama took a sip of water when he was in office to tell us the water was clean.
Yeah. Yep. And another thing too, I'll share this again with you. Just another image is the Goal Zero. Hold on a second here. Let me get my stuff together.
There's our email exchange.
There's our conversation. Here's the Goal Zero. So Goal Zero is excellent. It's an excellent company. They provide phenomenal supplies, like I said, mainly for camping, but it's all solar. And it's all very portable. So you can get yourself a solar generator. And it's very clean and discreet. Your neighbors won't know that you're running a generator. And it's for a relatively affordable cost for anything like this on the market, for a regular fuel generator, whether it be propane or gas or diesel, and larger solar generators. Another great solar generator, if you want to run your whole house, would be like the Kodiak generator. But Goal Zero has a wide range of products, from little lighting systems that have their own little solar panels, all sorts of accessories. One of my favorite things they have is like a notepad sized solar panel that is just the size of a notepad, and you fold it open, and on the inside it's got the solar panel and a bunch of different plugs, so you can plug in your devices and smaller things. But it's easy to just slip in your backpack and stay on the run and still have access to some things that would normally be on.
So let's back up a second. I wanted, so the bigger generator that could, like, how big is it and how much does it work? And
so their largest generator, that's a great question. Their largest generator will power like an RV, which is great. Solar power on the go. But what I like to do is I just like to keep one of these in the back of my truck at all times, charged. I have the panels, but I don't really have to use them for the most part unless we're doing some long-term camping trips. But yeah, just keep it fully charged. It also charges by plugging into a wall. So if you find an outlet, the grid's not completely down, and you can kind of get a little, juice it up as you go. It's going to be extremely convenient. If there's no heating or cooling systems, and you have something that can do that, even if it's just a fan in front of a block of ice, you plug it into your generator and you can have that, create a little small space that you can keep cool for your family or your pets. With the droughts that are happening, and if in the middle of a heat wave, everyone in Arizona or Southern California loses their power, we're going to have, pets dying and, people suffering from heat illness. So just something to keep in mind. A couple of things: the water, some kind of energy system, and then we can go more in depth on where do you go to actually find a sustainable shelter, because everywhere on this planet has been controlled by those in power. The government owns all the land somehow, miraculously, when in reality, it's we the people that inhabit this earth that have an innate right to some plot of land. We should have a right to pick a piece of land, build our own home. Those are very basic needs that need to be met as a human who evolved on this planet, learning for thousands of years how to do those things. So there's a place actually in Arizona. It's the southeast corner of Arizona. It's called Cochise County, and it's called Cochise County, and they actually allow you to opt out of society. This is the only place on the earth that I've ever seen this. And now there's some stipulations, obviously, but the county for now, they're looking like they're going to stop doing this either at the end of this year or maybe at the end of next year, somewhere in between. They got contractors coming in saying, oh, we can't have people opting out of building their own homes and doing all this. We need to make money off the permits. So all these contractors are coming into the county trying to push to cancel the opt out. But you can essentially get a raw piece of land for really cheap out in the middle of the desert. And it's the high desert in Cochise County, so it's not just dust and sand everywhere. It's very lush vegetation, beautiful valley views and mountains and ridge lines. It's really gorgeous. Tall grass in some places, not what you would imagine for the desert, but it is the high desert, so you're at an elevation of about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Great weather, with an average high of like 93. It's beautiful. It's beautiful out there. And you can just get a super cheap raw piece of land for about $1,000 an acre. So for $1,000, you and your family can team up, grab an acre, invite your friends and family out there, and start building whatever you want. And you just fill out one, it's about $170, $200 permit that allows you to opt out of any other additional permits that would be required. Anyone who lives in California knows how much of a nightmare this is, trying to just get a shed put up, on your yard or whatever, the thousands of dollars in permitting costs, let alone building your own home and building your own rainwater catchment system and digging your own well and your own solar system. All of those things are just going to rack up the permitting and inspection and codes. And of course, you want to be safe. No one out there has died from building their own home and having it crush on them or having a fire start from solar. Everyone that's doing this wants to do it right. They want to have an actual self-sufficient, reliable, safe place to live. So they do actually do things by code. They just don't have to pay out the nose to make that happen. If you were to buy a raw piece of land and try to build your own home, whether it be an earthship or a little aircrete home, I don't know if you've seen aircrete, but it's like concrete infused with soap. So it has air inside of it. You can lift massive bricks of this stuff above your head, no problem. It floats in water and it's stronger than normal concrete. So if you make domes out of this, you can look at where this has been done. Hurricanes will come through and you'll just see the little aircrete dome sitting amidst all the chaos and disaster of the hurricanes or the earthquakes and the tornadoes. So there are really cheap ways, and it's about $2,000 for all the equipment to make aircrete yourself. You're just getting bags of Portland cement and some water and some soap, and you're mixing it together into aircrete, and you can shape and mold whatever type of design you want. You can become your own architect and have an actually structurally sound place to live that's also smart as far as energy use. It keeps you cool in the summer, warm in the winter naturally. You can bury it in dirt. There's shipping container homes. Did I already say earthship? There's earthship homes. Those are a little more expensive and time consuming. You're packing tires full of dirt with a sledgehammer and then stacking them as high as you can. That's a little bit exhausting, but there's something for everyone. There is a housing system, straw bale houses or adobe houses. You just use the dirt that's there in the desert, mix it with water, and you make your own house. So you can opt out of any inspections, any building codes, and you can do all of it from top to bottom completely by yourself. And so that's what a Cochise County, Cochise. I got to urge people to check this place out. And there's some others like it in New Mexico, but they'll say things like you can catch the water from the sky, but you can't plumb it through your house. You can only use it to water your backyard or something like that. It's just ridiculous stipulations. Whereas here in Cochise, you can do all the best things. You can have your compost toilet. You can plumb your rainwater through your house and then reuse that gray water to water your garden. This is virtually illegal everywhere else on the planet, and they're looking like it might stop by the end of the year. So I want to encourage people, get on it. grab some land out there. The land grab is insane that's happening out there right now. I just went out there, me and my family put down a few bucks for a little bit of acreage, and it's amazing how quick land is going, but it's super cheap. So I want people to at least look into it. It may change your life. If you wanted a dream home and then you've been crushed by the way society functions, that you can't create the life you want, you can't live with a low cost of living. Because again, once you dump this money into building your own home and owning your own land, you can grow your own food at that point. And in the desert, they get the monsoons during the summertime, but it's pretty much an all-year grow season out there in the high desert. So, you know, permaculture forest, the neighbor of the acreage that we bought, he's starting a permaculture food forest right there on his lot. So this is very easy to do. It seems difficult, it seems intimidating, and if your dreams have been crushed by trying to, you know, optimize your potential, create your dream life, you know, not have to work every day just to pay some, you know, crappy telecommunications companies and utilities companies and housing industries, just to live by the paycheck, that's no way of living. If you're crushed by that, then I encourage people to look into it. It's a very affordable way to make the most out of your existence. Life's too short to sit around not building the life that you want, to sit around and doing what sociopaths tell you to do. So yeah, we got to stop playing by their rules. Even if you can't get out to Cochise County, team up with people in your community. Find someone who has a big piece of land, do a community garden. Everyone takes turns going there, watering and planting seeds. You know, sell your homes if they're in areas where it looks like there's going to be a housing crash here pretty soon, and you might lose money on that. Sell while you can, and team up with your community, your friends, your family, whoever you can bear living with, that you can work together with, and pull your money together, some of it to invest in a little piece of land. So at least you have somewhere to go if shit does hit the fan, somewhere safe.
Yeah, well, there's definitely, I mean, I've talked a lot about this on this show. There was a housing bubble before this pandemic. There was a car loan bubble before this pandemic. There was a carbon fuel bubble well before this pandemic. I've said this before. The governor of the Bank of England gave us talk in roughly 2015, 2016, saying there's a carbon bubble because investors are going to suddenly realize there's no long-term investment in fossil fuels.
Right.
And they were already starting to see the writing on the wall as renewables were becoming less expensive and more profitable. And you had countries like India and some countries in the EU saying, we're going to be off of, we're not going to allow gas cars by such and such a date. A car company saying we're going to stop making gas cars. So the writing was on the wall for that already. And then this happened, and now no one is buying. I was just down kind of near Long Beach, so south of the port of LA, and there are 15 at least oil tankers just sitting out there because no one's using oil. There's 15 oil tankers and probably have, you know, 5 or 6 cruise ships, but there's oil tankers just sitting there because no one's doing it. They've had to halt production. So it's like the writing was on the wall before this pandemic. And man, I really wish I would have had the money and the resources, but of course my home was stolen to be, I've wanted to have a home off the grid for years, just because for the reasons that we're seeing. I don't want to pay these companies all this money. I want to collect rainwater. I want, you know, I want to have a sustainable home that, you know, is completely renewable and my carbon footprint is minimal. But now it seems like the time, are there, Jackson, are there specific websites that go into how to do all of these things rather than like this thing here and there, or?
All of these things as in?
Like if you, you know, Idiot's Guide to Living Off the Grid. Is there some something like that?
That's a great question. Nothing that I found. There's one YouTube channel who, it's a couple who are living out in Cochise County now, and you get to kind of see their whole journey from beginning to end, how they made that all happen. That is called Handyman with 2 E's, Hand E-E Man. So that's a greet YouTube channel to check out if you want to know kind of the ins and outs of how you do water catchment, and it's all do it yourself. It's all, you know, he's one guy, he's a young guy, in his early 30s, and he's building all this from the ground up himself. So, and they're a little bit wealthier, but there's still all sorts of do-it-yourself ways, the minimalist ways to, you know, there's some people that he has on his channel where he'll show just a straw bale house, and they're just getting old straw bales and hay bales and stacking them on top of each other and covering them in mud. So there's just endless ways. that you can do this. I don't know of one in particular, one resource specifically that will walk you through the beginning to end of how to develop a truly off-grid, self-sufficient lifestyle. But that's about the best advice I can give. I mean, there's only so many ways you can do it. Water catchment is going to be an important way. Growing your own food, obviously, is the next most important thing. Getting a decent shelter. Outside of that, there's not too much. Some people, we lived for thousands of years without energy systems. Seems like we could figure out a way to make our own candles and that type of thing. But having a little generator, investing in something like that might be a good idea until you can invest in solar later down the road. But yeah, I encourage people to talk with folks in their community. Chances are you have a friend who has a friend who's an electrician, or knows someone, or has a family member who's an electrician, might be able to walk you through how to do your own little mini solar setup when you get the land or something like that. Same thing with a general contractor. You might know someone who's able to pour a little building pad for you so you can get started, pull up with an old little trailer or in your truck or in your van or whatever, and hang out camping until you're slowly able to develop the property. But Graham, you're always welcome to come stay with us at our property.
Well, I look forward to getting out to Cochise County at some point. I went to college in Arizona, so there's a lot about Arizona I very much like. Nice. One of the last road gigs I did was in Arizona and Northern California, which man, I missed that. But so Jackson, where are there specific videos on your channel that people can watch about some of these various topics?
Absolutely. This is probably one of the main, other than politics, which I really picked up on recently because of the primaries. Outside of that, what I mostly focus on is trying to survive the end of the world, with a positive spin, trying to show people, hey, don't get so riddled with fear that you're frozen and you don't know what to do with your life. Take action in little baby steps, one little step at a time. Get your own little Berkey water filter. As you can afford these things, slowly start to invest in them. Because again, once you pay for those things, you've then reduced all the costs and expenses of later down the road. Like we were talking about before with the plant-based diet, once you start growing your own food, you're reducing health costs later down the road. You're reducing your dependency on Monsanto products and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it goes to the thing I say a lot on this show, which is when I say vote with your dollars, I'm talking about it across the board, and not giving your money to the utility companies or Monsanto or any of those places are critical. And I'd really like to know the data of people who are vegetarian and eating plant-based diets and are exercising and doing yoga and not doing a bunch of drugs and alcohol and all that stuff, what their reaction to getting COVID-19 is. I really would like to know what that is, because my guess is they have a better survival rate and maybe a higher percent. This is just my guess. I'm not making a scientific claim, but I'm just guessing that there is a much higher rate of people getting it, not showing very severe symptoms, and surviving it. I'd really like to know that data as it comes in, because I want to know, they should be really crunching so much more of the lifestyle and dietary things of people who are getting this. Because I'm hearing like, oh, it's another COVID death. And then I see the person is like not leading that healthy of a lifestyle, or they had a serious pre-existing condition. And I just want to know how many people that are doing plant-based diets are getting it and having severe symptoms,
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. That's a good question. I do have one video in particular I almost forgot to mention. It's called How to Survive the Upcoming Mass Extinction Event, because scientists are talking about the 6th great extinction will include humans, and it's already on its way. There's no stopping it at this point. It's just mitigating the factors that are going to be destroying our lives in the next 10, 15 years. So that's one video at my channel. It's long, very in-depth. I think it's about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, where we just go into every single detail of how to really divest from those in power in every way. All the sociopathic systems, from housing to education to, our food and water systems,
banking,
our jobs. Yep. How do we do?
This is a critical moment, and there is an opportunity here. And I talk a lot, again, about I just like looking at the air quality as just an example of this was not intentional, but look what's happening. So, hey, if the whole planet got on board with something, look what we could change. If the whole planet, instead of bailing trillions of dollars to bail out banks and this failed brutal deadly system of capitalism, what if we all said, wow, what if we put all these resources into saving the planet, and all these people out of work, what if we put them into work with a Green New Deal and getting off of oil and making everything sustainable, which we could do. We could do it. Just the global reaction to this pandemic is showing me, oh, we could all get together on this thing and do it. Because we treat it like COVID-19 is not going to kill everybody on the planet. Even if we did nothing, if we did no stay-at-home orders and did nothing about it, it would not kill everybody on the planet. It would kill 3, maybe 5% of the planet, which is awful, but not the whole planet. Climate collapse, the crisis, the 6th extinction event that you're talking about that we are currently in, that will kill everybody on the planet. So we could do something about it.
Yes. Yeah, and like we were talking about last time, when we were talking about moving to a plant-based diet to save the planet, save the animals, save your health, you can only take responsibility for yourself as an individual. And people would be shocked at how much change you can create just by being that change you want to see. Sounds cliche, but you can't go around, even if you do go around holding a gun to people's head and saying, eat a plant-based diet, stop killing animals or I'm going to kill you. Most people are going to go, oh, no, it's too conflicting with their worldview, and they're not going to be able to make that adjustment, that behavioral change without having some kind of mental breakdown. Some people just aren't going to be able to comprehend. They don't have the mental faculties to comprehend what kind of changes they need to be making. So don't bother going around forcing people to change. Be an emblem of that change. And that is far more conducive for spreading inspiration, getting other people to kind of follow your lead and be the change that they want to see. They may not believe in the same truths and moralities that you believe in, but whatever is true and just and moral to them, they need to start acting that way. And then that's when you see this massive cultural paradigm shift. You start to see cultural movements. And I think it takes about statistically 3% of a society or a culture to start actively making change before it's just a downward spiral. Everything comes avalanches down. That's when so any social justice movement historically, once it hits that 3% mark, that's when real change starts to happen, and the masses, the 90 to 99% of us, start getting involved. So
that's a great point.
Individual responsibility. Team up with friends and family who are like-minded, and educate them. That's all you can do, is try to educate others. I'm not saying like don't tell anyone, keep it a big secret. This plant-based diet thing or this off-grid lifestyle thing and this property in Cochise County lets you opt out. That's my secret. I'm going to take it. It's going to be mine. Share the news, share the word with people and give them at least the opportunity. Once we educate ourselves and others, we're just giving people the opportunity to at least make that change.
Yeah, because even this information about Cochise County, most people are not going to be able to move there or whatever, but you could do some research about what the laws are where you live and maybe petition to get them changed. Maybe say, how can I circumvent the rules here? How can the rules where I live are not as open as this Cochise County or whatever, but all the little things we can do. Because I want to go back to that 3% number. That's about 9-10 million people in America, right? If we get 3%. So that's not that many people. That's not a lot of people. And that's when you talk about lead by example, and anyone who's thinking, oh, I'm just one person. Well, if you change your lifestyle, you vote with your dollars, you go plant-based, you buy this water filter and do all of these little things, and slowly, we all can't just unplug off of this capitalist system overnight. We can't do one little thing here. Move your money. Like I moved my IRA out of Wells Fargo into a credit union, right? Oh, no. One little thing I did. My other accounts are still at Wells Fargo because I have a business and I can't, it's hard to find credit unions that handle businesses, and I want to. That's one little thing. When I finally bought my first new car in over 10, 15 years, I made it electric. Like all these little things that we can all do here and there, and they add up. They add up. And if you lead by example and then your friends see that and they do that, then it does add up. And all of a sudden, 5 to 10 million people are all done with this system, and they know it. They all they care about is money and power. And when you get out of their system, they have no money or no power over you.
Right.
And that's why, like I want to like get out of debt. I don't want to go in any sort of debt, because I just got money from the small business loan, but I don't know if it's forgiven or not. And there's all these gray areas. Anyway, everybody go check out Jackson Facts because there's all these cool things you can do. Even if you like started growing a little garden and just started doing that. And
a couple of weeks ago, I started my own garden just with the spare time that I had and some extra supplies. And it's very low overhead costs. I threw a couple bucks into it for some lumber to build a little raised garden bed. I'm already consuming the kale that I planted. I'm eating it. It was just a couple of weeks like that. So anyone who thinks that, I don't have a green thumb, I'll never be able to figure it out. I live in an apartment, I'll never be able to figure it out. Google, YouTube. There's so many resources out there. There's something that you can do. And every little amount you're going to learn from it, even if you fail and your plant dies instantly. There's great ways. That's a great opportunity to learn about, how not to fail in the future.
That's the great thing too. There's a YouTube video on how to do all of this. Like there's a video on how to do any of the thing you're trying to, permaculture, whatever, anything. And just I always just say, take a step in the right direction, and 2 steps forward and 1 step back still adds up to 1 step forward. And in that 1 step back, you're going to learn something to help you go 2 steps forward again. So, Jackson, thank you so much. Where can people find you online and your show?
Yeah, Jackson Facts right here on YouTube. Also check out my other channel on animal rights activism, Action Jackson.
Jackson, thank you so much for joining the show. Everybody out there, like, share, subscribe. You're all political vigilantes, and this is another great way to get involved and make a change in your life, in your community, and where you live. Thanks for watching. Hey, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.